5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Materialize. Hello, Cancer. Welcome to your horoscope for the full moon in Virgo. This is happening on the 7th of March at 11:42 p.m. and it's also the final lunation for this trip around the zodiac. And I think it's in a near conjunction, it's happening several hours after, is that Saturn, the planet of restriction and boundary, will be moving into Pisces. This is one of those outer planets that are changing sign that we've been talking about for a little while. This full moon in Virgo kind of is the inauguration of this shift, this change of the era. So we've got some things to kind of prepare for, don't we? That's what it feels like. When I think of Virgo, I think of preparation. I think of hard work. In the tarot, it's the Hermit card that represents Virgo in the major secrets. And the Hermit is the individual that's taken themselves away from the greater responsibilities of life, society, socialization. They've taken themselves away to open that portal and to learn, to absorb the spiritual lessons and then to alchemize them into reality. And so this full moon in Virgo is kind of asking us, we know that we release at a full moon, don't we? We know that we shed, we let everything that needs to fall away at this kind of lunation. We also get to celebrate what it is that we've managed to alchemize and to bring into our lives. And so for you, Cancer, Virgo rules your 3rd house, which is where we find our village, our locality. It also has a lot to do with our folk magic as well, with lessons that are shared via voice and action rather than perhaps the written word, or a sense of kind of academia rather than that kind of expansive area. The 3rd house is much more localized. I say folk magic because of that kind of the intimacy of sharing via voice and via symbol. The tarot is definitely a 3rd house idea. And so I think that the full moon happens, and so in that way, Cancer, I want you to sort of think about your local environment, think about your neighborhood, and whatever you need to do to shed. And this could be a persona, this could be difficulties that you've been having in that environment. This could be something about kind of feeling like a bit of a square peg in a round hole, you know. I want you to let go of some of that because it's really important to feel at home wherever you're at. I know that that's easier said than done when you're feeling a bit of an outlier, a bit of a eccentric. But I think at this full moon you can afford yourself that sort of release, you know, sort of let some of that alienation dissipate. But I also really want you to lock into this idea that Saturn is moving from Aquarius into Pisces. And so Saturn takes 30 years to go around the zodiac. It really does. It's a generational planet in the sense that, you know, some folks will be experiencing Saturn in Pisces for the first time in their lives right now. For you, it may have been there before. You know, it may have been, depending on how old you are. But if you can think back to 30 years ago, think about your life and what you were learning about, what you were really coming to realize about your sense of spirituality, and what you actively started your journey looking for. Because Pisces is your ninth house, which is where we expand our mind, right? We travel, we find a teacher in the ninth house. And so Saturn is moving into this house for you. It will be there for the next few years. And so what I'm getting at, Cancer, is that if you've got the experience, you might be able to think back to 30 years ago and think back to your access to spirituality, your access to maybe religion, and maybe there was something of a break that happened there for you. I think that we are all susceptible to false idols, aren't we? We're all susceptible to, especially when we're coming from a place where we felt really sort of guileless and boundless, unrestricted, untethered. I'm getting all this like sort of Virgo imagery in my mind at the moment, because Virgo is really great at sort of keeping us on the ground. Virgo is mutable earth, so it's like clay. I kind of have my feeling of my 2 feet being sort of stuck in the earth, but feeling kind of fine with it, you know, happy to sort of move around, but like having a base, having an anchor. Yeah, think about Virgo as an anchor. If you didn't have one of them when you were growing up, this idea of like, you know, searching to expand your mind, you know, to kind of, I think, and there's no shame in that too. And we all try and expand our minds in different ways. I think what I'm getting at here, Cancer, is that I feel that Saturn's entry into Pisces is going to be a really important period of your life, important era for you to, with the knowledge and the wherewithal and the nous that you have now, pick what you're going to absorb and what you're going to listen to, and what actually truthfully brings you comfort. How, from your life experience, you can also stand in a position of authority and share that with other folks. Really relinquish an idea of dogma about the whole thing. I think Saturn in Pisces, there could be the potential for religious dogma to sort of swell up, you know. Think about Pisces as that sort of access all areas to the other realms, and Saturn, the boundary, being like, well, this is how we do it. You know, that could be a trickier way that this astrology manifests itself. I'm really wanting to encourage you to pick the wilder way, Cancer. You know what you're doing. You don't sort of need salvation. And perhaps some of the ways that you are trying to save yourself maybe aren't working anymore. And so you can set some of that down as well. Pisces talks all about addiction, addictive behaviors, repetitious, almost rituals, absolutely, but rituals that we search and yearn for to bring us relief. Maybe Saturn in Pisces is going to be the moment for you to really shed some of that repetitious rhythm that isn't valuable. I'm bringing this back to Virgo too. Because in Virgo we do find the sacred rhythm, right? We do find that sort of pace of life that allows us to open up, allows us to open everything up and to really receive what our spirituality is trying to tell us. Saturn in Pisces, it's like, it's like, put it down. Stop doing that. I wonder if that's hitting home for you, Cancer. Is there certain habits that you can kick over the next few years with the help of Saturn in Pisces? I'm talking specifically about the area of mind expansion, you know. We journey here, we journey there, we're seeking out, we want to, and there's no shame, or I'm not putting any kind of prohibition on you in any way. But we can probably afford ourselves a bit of clarity with Saturn in Pisces. We can hold on to that sort of austerity of rules, but they're rules and principles that we live by now because we're the age that we are, because up to this point, we've recognized what's good for us, what's bad for us, what is working and what's not working. And if the basic tenement is to expand our mind and to be ultra present and aware and alive and awake and here, present, then some of those walls that we put up to protect either other people from us or ourselves from other people, protect ourselves from our spirituality, protect ourselves from the kind of horror of really recognizing that we're all born and we all die alone. I don't know if that was too forward for me to say, Cancer. I hope that that wasn't overstepping a boundary. I've been dealing with this a bit myself over this last bit of time. I've really been frightened. I've been going through a bit of a fear period of loss has brought up for me a terror of experiencing that again, of worry. And I think that I've been thinking about the ways that I used to or have done in my life to protect myself, put up some sort of numbing force field. I used to drink quite a lot. I used to dissociate all the time. Sometimes I still do, but I can catch myself doing it now. The dissociation, I mean, the drinking, I'm developing a relationship with. Again, no prohibition. We're not going to say that we're bad people because we do this, that, or the other. We're going to do it not for relief, but for enjoyment from now on. And there's a big difference in that. But we all have, you know, we all got different experiences at our core, don't we? This feeling of terror, horror at potential loss is fear. And I was in a reading with a beautiful person the other day who was 83 years old. And she used to drive the semis. She was a semi-truck driver all her life. And 10 years ago, she told me that she walked on hot coals, and she told me that fear is a false emotion about reality. And I was sat there, you know, metaphorically cross-legged at her feet going, wow, you came to me for a reading. Holy crap, I can't wait to be read by you. And I really thought about that. It's sort of like this moment in time right now is kind of all we have. And to be terrified of the future, including loss, or to be stuck in the past, it doesn't honor this moment. I don't know if any of that was maybe too... I hope that I've come to kind of... I hope that there's been something in there for you, Cancer. I got the Three of Wands just now. And I got Justice. And I got the Seven of Wands. Yeah, it's this feeling of you're telling the truth, Cancer. You're a really good person, and everything that you do, everything that you're working towards, everything that you talk about, think about, every action is coming from a place of love and care, kindness, trying to crack open this intimacy, that intimacy. You're doing it because you love people so much. And so I can see that there might be some feeling of defensiveness when met with, like, potential abandonment or a potential criticism on what it is that you're offering. Hopefully at this Virgo full moon you can sort of release some of that too. Release some of that. The shadow vibration of Virgo is perfectionism and sort of not getting anything done because of the kind of analytical inquisition. We're humans, we're sloppy, we're messy, we're made of meat and hair, Sometimes you get it wrong. Doesn't matter. If you remember that at your essence, at your very core, your every impulse is to create a warm, loving environment. And you can't go wrong. And I have a feeling that this Saturn coming into Pisces is actually going to be really beneficial for you. I think that we could probably afford to reassess the rule book, reassess the limitations, and also reassess what limitations we put on ourselves. How are we holding ourselves in place? What are we frightened of stepping forward into because we think we're not good enough? Justice tells the truth. You're telling the truth. And if you're defending yourself from yourself, then that's something to think about. That's something to really look at, because you're onto a really cool thing. Look at that. It's already been written. This map's already been written for you. You know what you're doing. Step into it. Step into it. And if you realize that some of these walls or barriers or boundaries are self-imposed, then pray to Saturn, work with Saturn, recognize where Saturn is, and recognize where Pisces is in your chart, and recognize how you can allow a bit of space there, a bit of movement. That's all, Cancer. I'm going to leave this reading here. Much love to you. You can get your birth chart read by me at umaruby.com. Go to the readings tab and choose which one you'd like to journey with me on. Tip money is also very much appreciated at buymeacoffee.com/umaruby. I will be speaking to you in 2 weeks for the new moon in Aries. And this is the match. Let's do it together. Take care, Cancer. I love you. Bye.